Yeah, so our deepest fear is not whether we are adequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is not our lightness, it is not our darkness, but it is our lightness that often scares us. For who am I to be beautiful, to be brilliant, to be fabulous, to be talented? Actually, who am I not to be that? A beautiful quote from Marianne Williamson, and on Thursday morning when it was given to me by one of my coaches, I looked at my slide deck and I said, what am I talking about? And are people really going to care about that? And as Chris mentioned, I'm a change agent, Heather Evans, and I love saying that because it sounds good, but nobody really knows what we're doing, including the change agents, what we're changing out there. But so I started out talking about corporate cultures, which is what I do every day. That's my comfort zone. I work with leaders to make the places better. And in this journey, I've busted one of the biggest myths of my life. And I thank TEDTalks for helping me find that this Thursday morning, as you can imagine, when I had to turn my slide deck in on Friday, what that probably did to my plans for Thursday night. But what I realized is that things don't change at global levels. Change doesn't happen through our leadership. It doesn't happen through the organizations that we're a part of. Change happens with us. It starts with us, and it starts with the courage that we have to take the first step and open the door to possibilities. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do some personal myth busting. So when you think of myths, I'm not talking about Zeus and Apollo, right? I'm talking about the stories that we have every day. There we go. So the stories we tell ourselves, the stories we engage in, a myth is just basically a story with purpose. And we started our stories when we're at a very young age, and usually at that point in time, it's what they want us to know, right? They being our parents, our teachers, our community, our family, our friends. And we learn through these stories, through these parables, through these myths, right? And one of the biggest stories that you may have grown up with, right, is the legend that lives about the science project, right, where the alligator is released into the sewers. And now, don't go into the sewers and don't go into the manholes because there are alligators down there, right? The purpose of this story is to keep us out of the places of exploration, a little fear, right? Is our parents want us to have security to set some boundaries. The next one, which is a myth that's actually non-existent today because we now have seedless watermelons, was the idea, what happens if you eat a watermelon seed? That's right. You end up growing a watermelon in your belly. So I don't know about you, but how many times did you look at a pregnant woman when you were about 4 years old and you thought, oh my God, she ate a seed? And little did we know that that's not a watermelon growing in there, but a beautiful baby. And as we move from that story and the stories of what they want us to know and the purposes that we are growing up with, we move into this exploration in our life of what we want. What do I want from life? And we start exploring and dipping our toe in the water a little bit to see how this motto might fit on me or how that motto might work. And we begin maybe even to make a couple of statements by putting them on our cars. A couple of bumper stickers. So where are we going? And why am I in this handbasket? Yes, this is a journey, and it's a purposeful celebration that we're going on. One that's probably served us all well at some point in time, right? There's a light at the end of the tunnel. I had a life, but my job ate it. So this was real for somebody, enough so that they wanted to put it in their car. One day at a time. And another beauty, the coexistence of us, how we can live together. All of these things have a story behind it, something that we engage in, that we tell, funny, something that attracted us to want to make a statement and put it on our car. And as we kind of dip our toe in the water and we begin to live that way, we start to explore, well, what else? And we get hold of some of those stories that really impact us, right? And so we might make a little more permanent statement, right? So revel in the chaos. Life is good. Do what you love. Never give up, just do it. And where there is struggle, where there is no struggle, there is no strength. Beautiful, powerful mottos that had probably served these people well, served us well in many ways to help us get through them. And as we told our story and we started to incorporate these things about what our life gives us, it started to introduce who we were. So I thought back to a time and I thought, what would I have put on my life, on my body, had I, at a time when I was kind of toying with that, what would my motto have been? And it definitely would have been life as a lesson, right? So you have a struggle, something happens a couple of times to you, you're like, why am I doing this? What's the purpose? I've got to learn a lesson from this. And it worked well. All of a sudden, I started to have some real aha moments for myself. I was like, oh my gosh, look what I just learned. This is great. And then it happened. It shifted from something that I used as a question or curiosity to a truth for me. That everything must have a lesson in it. And so I started chasing the lessons, right? And what happened was sometimes the lesson wasn't about me. Sometimes the lesson wasn't relevant to me, and I would off into the rabbit hole. And when I popped out, I would be like, where am I, and why am I here? And what was the purpose of that? So when I look back to how that myth kind of created boundaries for me and sent me in directions that weren't relevant to me, I look back and I look at some of these beautiful messages. Never give up. Should we really never give up? I mean, are there times when it's appropriate to give up, to say, this isn't where I should be, this isn't where I should be or what I should be doing. I need to give up. And if this is our motto, do we take the risk and explore the things that really need to be explored? Or does this create a boundary for us and holding us back for fear that once we pursue it, we can't give up? Just do it. Whew! I can think of a skiing time where I just did it and it wasn't good. I probably should have planned a little better path down that mountain on that particular day. And it's true, sometimes we need to step back and not just do it, right? And where there is no struggle, there is no strength. And this one to me is really powerful, because if you can only find strength in struggle, do you begin to create struggle in your life? So, as you look at these things, at certain times they serve a beautiful purpose and a lightness for us. And what happens when we take these and put them into the truth and really put them back into a place of challenge? Technical difficulty. I want you to see that again and again and again. There we go. So why do we create these myths, okay? What's in it for us? And again, and again. There we go. We create these myths because they're comfortable for us. We find comfort in them. My kids love it when I cook mac and cheese, one, because I'm an awful cook, but they know when I open up that little blue box, they are going to get a consistently good, warm, yummy meal. It's a comfort food for many of us, right? And we call it in our house super easy mac and cheesy. And that's really what, these myths do for us. They give us comfort. They give us something to look forward to. They give us an influence of how we build that into our stories. So I want to challenge that when this is happening and you're in your comfort zone, you might be in your comfort zone, but what are you not exploring? What are the possibilities and boundaries that are out there? There it is, the mac and cheese. So we talked about what they want us to know, what I want to know for myself. And as we move into this third phase, it's what's calling me. What is the calling of what's out there? And I love this quote where she's sitting with her husband and saying, I don't want to be defined by who I am. So I want to talk about 3 of the greatest mythbusters and the possibilities that they opened up for us. First one, Christopher Columbus, right? The myth he busted, the world was flat. When he was 13 years old, he went on his first sailing trip. He was attacked by a bunch of French pilots. It would have been very, very easy for him to say, no go for me on this one. I'm sticking to the landlubber side, right? He got turned down by Portuguese. He got turned down by Genoa. He got turned down by Venice, and he was turned down by Spain. But he still believed, I know a better pathway. I can do this. And when Isabella finally agreed to do it and believe in him, off he went. When he came back, the world's round, right? We can get there. And it wasn't just round for Spain, it was round for England, it was round for France, and the world changed. Another beautiful lady who transformed our world is Miss Rosa Parks. She was known for always wanting to do the right thing. And the myth that she busted was that she had to conform to the social rules and regulations, even when it wasn't about doing the right thing. And the day she sat on that bus, she didn't think, I'm ready to start a civil revolution. She thought, I'm tired and I am worthy of this seat. And when people saw that, they were inspired and possibility opened. And this one I don't have to give you a lot of talk about, right? He said, we can put a computer in everybody's house. And he said that at a time when computers were half the size of a room. So there was a real myth that needed to be busted. And what all of these myth busters bring to us and the possibilities that they opened and the transformation that they made is that they didn't know what their calling was. They didn't know what the possibility was, but they were out of their comfort zone. They were willing to step out and hold up a light and shine it. So how do we shift the story? How do we bust our myths? So the first thing we want to know is, what is your story? What are the stories you tell each other every day? What are the stories you encounter at your work, with your spouses, with your children? What are those stories? And is that true? Are the things you're saying really concrete and true? And if it's not, how's it serving you? And in that moment of truth, when it feels like it's the hardest, the truth is out there and you can handle the truth. Because this is not an easy place to be. You are headed out of your comfort zone. Have confidence in knowing that that place of struggle is heading you in the right direction. Take the leap and be the change you want to be. And when you do that, you will become a torchbearer. And the light that you shine will inspire others and open possibility for them. So when I work in change in organizations and I look back to how cultures shift, the myth that's been busting for me is it's not through great groups, it's through one person at a time. So go be torchbearers. Thank you.